Today we're going to be starting in child's pose or a shape of your choice. So if child's pose doesn't feel welcome to you, then you can absolutely choose any shape that you prefer. So if you'd like to, if you are starting in child's pose, I like to have a blanket underneath my knees just for some padding. So option 2, have a blanket. And today I'm going to opt for a nice and wide child's pose. However, you might choose to find a narrower child's pose. So I'm going to take my knees as wide as the mat, and perhaps you do as well. Or if you prefer to have your legs closer together, that's also an option. So finding our child's pose here or any shape of choice. We'll begin to settle in. Option 2, bring your forehead to the mat as you start to ease your way down toward the earth. Or, if you prefer to keep your gaze lifted, that is always a choice. There's no right or wrong. Begin to connect with the feeling of the earth beneath us. So noticing maybe the texture of the mat or the blanket beneath you. You might even move into your fingers a little bit. Grounding down into this very moment with the sensation of touch. And beginning to find connection with your breath. Maybe you don't change it at first. Maybe you just notice. Notice how your breath is flowing. And from this child pose, it allows us to notice the expansion and the settling in our abdomen as we breathe in and out. Finishing up here. And as you're ready, beginning to maybe add some movement back to the body. Or if stillness is serving you well in this moment, option 2, stay in stillness. You might find a rocking motion back and forth. Or maybe you simply allow your forehead to just roll back and forth on the mat, giving your forehead a little massage. Today, in this session, it is all about softening. And I've learned in my own experience that in order to soften, it requires compassion, compassionate acceptance, knowing that there's nothing to change, nothing to fix, nothing to coerce. And so today our affirmation is, I accept and love every part of myself exactly as I am. So continuing to find some organic movement. Maybe you even shift forward onto your hands and your knees. Maybe you come into a tabletop shape, or if child's pose is still serving you well, you can choose to stay there. Perhaps, if you are in a tabletop shape, you begin to inhale and find our cow position here, allowing the abdomen to drop down toward the earth, exhaling and allowing your spine to curve up toward the ceiling as much or as little as you would like. Maybe you tuck your tailbone and your chin. And continuing to breathe in and out. You might choose to move in and out of this cat-cow, or you might prefer to just move organically. So whatever you want to do here, whatever your body is asking for, There is no right or wrong. And we'll be here, whether moving in the cat-cow or organic movement, for the next 4 or 5 breaths. I accept and love every part of myself exactly as I am. And it's okay if maybe you don't exactly feel that way or believe it. Maybe it's an opportunity to explore, trying it on for size, so to speak. Softening into this possibility. What could it feel like to accept and love every part of myself without changing anything, without coercing, without forcing? What could this feel like? So beginning to find completion here in your cat-cow or organic movement. And I invite you to keep the knees parallel to one another. And we'll begin to shift back through the hips, drawing them back toward our heels. Coming into this version of a child's pose here. And today we're going to move through a Tibetan sun salutation. And it's a bit more gentle, which I like, seeing as today it's all about softening. So I invite you to inhale and draw the hands back, sitting back onto your heels. In a Tibetan sun salutation, we will be visiting some low lunges, and we will be very briefly sitting on our heels like this. So if you would like blocks for your low lunges, I invite you to go ahead and grab those, even if you think, I might not need them, but have them just in case. And if you don't have blocks, that's absolutely okay as well. You don't have to have them. And we will be moving one breath to movement for the most part. However, if you decide that you want to go at a slower pace, you have every choice and every option to do so. There is no taskmaster here telling you that you have to go faster or slower than what your body is asking for. So with that being said, we will breathe in and reach the arms up overhead. And exhale, bring the hands to the floor and come into a tabletop shape. Exhaling out. Inhale, the right foot can draw forward, even if you maybe want to grab it with your hand and help it up. And for this first one, I invite you to place the right foot on the outside of the right hand, and that just gives us a bit more space. And for this first one, let's take a moment here. So if you want your blocks, you can have them. If you don't have to. And let's just soften into this first low lunge. So typically we would move one breath per movement. However, there are no rules. You can do whatever you want. And for this first one, I just would like to take a moment and soften. Give our body a moment. Even if you want to just gently rock back and forth, perhaps you explore that, or perhaps you stay in stillness. We'll take one more breath. Ending with ourselves in a low lunge here. Great. If you would like to, you could begin to inhale and reach your hands up overhead, coming into a low lunge. Exhale, lower the hands back down to the mat, and we're going to send the right foot back. Exhaling all the way back into our child's pose. Good. And then an inhale to rise up and reach the arms overhead. And an exhale to shift the hands forward, coming back into our tabletop. With your next inhale, or whenever you're ready to, you could draw the left foot up to the outside of the left hand, finding a low lunge on this side. And we'll take 3 breaths here, just as we did on the previous side, to just soften, easing into it. We don't have to rush. We don't have to force. We can soften. Last breath, maybe you breathe in through the nose and out of the mouth. With your next inhale, perhaps you reach the hands right up overhead, coming into a low lunge on this side. Exhale to lower the hands right back down and send the left foot back. Breathing in. Exhale to shift the hips back, coming into our child's pose and sitting up. Inhaling the hands up. Exhale, drawing the hands forward. Tabletop shape. Inhale to draw the right foot up. Low lunge. And exhaling here. Inhale and option to rise, because you don't have to. If you choose to leave your hands connected to the earth, you absolutely may. So we'll breathe in. Exhale, release the hands down. Send the right foot back. Breathing in and passing through our child's pose. Inhaling the arms up. Exhale, shifting forward. Tabletop. Breathing in and drawing the left foot up whenever you're ready to. Finding a low lunge on this side. Maybe you inhale the arms up, although you don't have to. Exhaling to lower the hands back down to the earth. Send the left foot back. Breathing in and breathing out. Pass through your child's pose. Great. We'll take one more on each side. So we'll breathe in, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands can come down to the mat, tabletop. Inhale, right foot can draw forward. Good. And this time, if you have blocks, I really invite you to place one on either side of your hips. So we'll breathe in, reaching the arms up, finding a low lunge. And this time, we'll add in a lateral stretch if you would like to take it. So inhaling and exhaling, right hand can come to your block. I'm going to set mine at the highest level. However, you do have 3 levels. So highest, medium, and low. Right hand can come to the right side block, and we'll just reach the left arm over. Taking one breath here into the left ribs. With your next breath in, or whenever you're ready, you could start to find your way back to center. And then exhale to release the hands down toward the earth, sending the right foot back. Inhaling and exhale, finding your child's pose and passing through it, coming into a kneeling shape. We'll breathe in and take it on the other side. Exhale to shift forward into your tabletop. And if you're ready to, you could inhale and take your left foot forward, finding a low lunge on this side. If you'd like, you could inhale and reach your arms up. Getting ready for our optional lateral stretch on the left side. So we'll breathe in. And as you exhale, you could bring your left hand to the left block. And allow your right arm to kind of create this half rainbow over to the side, toward the left. One more breath here. And we'll inhale, come back to center whenever you feel complete. And an exhale to bring the hands right back down to the earth. Sending the left foot back. You can move those blocks out of the way if you like. Inhaling and exhaling back. This time, I invite you to take a pause either in your child's pose or in your kneeling shape. So whichever one feels best to you. We'll pause here just to simply notice, how is my body responding to those shapes and to my breath? And I welcome you to repeat the affirmation. I accept and love every part of myself exactly as I am. If you are in child's pose, I invite you to rock forward into a tabletop. If you are in a kneeling shape, you could begin to come forward as well. And option here to find a downward facing dog, or you might find our puppy shape again. So if you want the puppy shape, then you could begin to just find some gentle engagement in the core. And again, that's not because we're trying to work out the core, it's just because we need the core to stabilize the lower back to prevent any discomfort. However, you might try both. So you might try it without engaging your core, notice what happens, and then you might try it with engaging your core. So if you're in puppy shape, you could walk your hands forward and allow your heart and head to come down toward the floor, although it doesn't have to come and touch the floor. So noticing how this shape can be similar to downward facing dog. If you would like downward facing dog, you could begin to tuck your toes. Inhale. And I like to keep my knees bent for the first one. As we just draw the hips back, up and back toward the ceiling, you might even begin to walk through your feet. So walking them out. Ooh, hamstrings are feeling really tight this morning. So I'm going to take my feet as wide as my mat. You might also explore the same if you'd like to, noticing the difference that changing your stance makes. So whether you are in puppy shape or downward facing dog, I invite you to take another 2 or 3 breaths of organic movement here. However, you can leave this shape whenever you want to. You never need anybody's permission. Last breath here. If you are in down dog, I invite you to find some stillness. Maybe you even release both heels down toward the earth. And if you're in puppy shape, you might begin to shift your hips forward, creating some space so that you can walk your hands back, coming back into a tabletop. And wherever you are, I invite you to begin moving to a forward fold. So if you're in down dog, you can begin to bend your knees. Inhale and shift your gaze forward, looking at your hands, and then walking your feet forward, coming into a forward fold. So this is our first forward fold of the session. So let's take a second to ease into it. There's no rush. You might begin to notice your knees. So as always, you have the choice. You can micro bend, you can deep bend, you can change your stance even. So if you want, you can even take your feet as wide as the mat. There's nothing wrong with needing extra space. I invite you to shake your head no, and then nod it yes. Allowing your neck to release. And with your next inhale, or whenever you decide that you're ready, you could place your hands on your shins, lengthen through the spine, finding a halfway lift. And an exhale to fold right back down. And with your next breath in, we'll start to rise. We'll breathe in, bend into the knees, and rise up. Exhale, maybe bring your hands down to heart center. And we'll just take a breath here. Option 2, release the hands if they are at heart center and maybe move a little bit naturally through your body. You might explore moving through your shoulders or your neck. How can we soften? How can we begin to explore and entertain the possibility of accepting every part of ourselves, every part, even the parts that we don't like? We all have those parts. We all have the parts that we're afraid of or ashamed of or angry at or feel grief or sadness. Can we love even those parts? Can we soften even into those areas just as much as we do the seemingly good parts? And as you begin to find completion in your organic movement, I invite you to take one breath in stillness and a big breath out. I accept and love every part of myself exactly as I am. An option to begin adding some movement in, maybe swaying if it feels right. And we'll begin to find our last forward fold of our class. So when you're ready, we'll breathe the arms up and an exhale to find a forward fold. Finding your inhale halfway lift when you are ready for it. And releasing the hands to the floor, we'll step one foot back and then the other, and bringing our knees to the mat, we'll begin to lower all the way down to the belly. I invite you to bring your hands to your sides. Maybe they're even positioned somewhat underneath your shoulders, so they're tucked in nice and close. And with our foreheads on the mat, we'll begin to take a dynamic cobra shape. So that means we'll move fluidly in and out of it with our breath at our own pace. So we'll breathe in, begin to lift up through the heart, maybe just a little bit for this first one. And then exhale to fold right back down. Inhale to lift and open. Exhale to soften. We'll continue moving at our own pace. Coming up only as much as your body is ready to. We'll take just a few more. However, you can release whenever you are ready to. Last one. Releasing down onto the mat and pausing here. Maybe you move your hands to the top of the mat. You could even rest your forehead on your hands if you want to. Resting right here. Softening into the floor. Beginning to scan through your body. What do you notice? Perhaps you shift awareness from the body and into your breath. allowing your breath to move at its own pace. You might even observe how your abdomen presses into the earth as you breathe in. Feeling lots of feedback here. And as you exhale, your body softens. If you're curious to begin to add a little bit of breath to your next inhale, I invite you to breathe in through your nose and allow your breath to go deep rather than wide. So imagining even that you could breathe directly down into your navel. As the breath moves in through your nostrils, into your lungs, and down into your body. Noticing how your breath might respond to this, how your body might respond to this. Allowing your exhales to take as much time as they like. There's no rush. And if you'd like, you could even continue to breathe deeply down into your navel and noticing as your abdomen fills with air, your ribs expand and your breath moves up into the chest. And as you exhale, your body knows exactly what to do, exactly how to release, how to soften. We'll take 3 more breaths. However, at any point that maybe this conscious breath work is not welcome to you, you can release it at any time. And perhaps for this last breath, you breathe in through the nose and sigh it out of the mouth. If you would like to stay here as you are resting on your abdomen, you can stay here for as long as you like and through our resting shape. If you are ready to move out of this shape, then I invite you to lift your head and begin to bring your hands back by your sides. As we inhale, press into our hands and shift our bodies back, finding a child's pose for just a couple breaths, just to stretch the spine, move the spine in the opposite direction that it was just in. And if you're ready to move out of this child's pose, you could begin to inhale, take your gaze forward, shift yourself forward into the tabletop, and then we'll begin to ease down onto our backs. And so you could turn yourself over and find your way down. Option 2, pull your knees in toward your chest and maybe even rock from side to side if your lower back would like a little massage. And then anytime you're ready to release, you might plant your feet on the floor so you can feel the edges of your mat underneath your feet. The feet are nice and wide. And we'll take a breath in. And if you would like a gentle twist, you could allow your knees to fall over to one side and then just pause there. So your knees don't have to touch the floor. They can kind of hang there. This is a really mild twist. You might choose to pause here, or you could take your bottom foot, the foot that is resting closest to the floor. And so if your left foot is on is the knee closest to the floor, you can take your left foot and place it over your right knee. However, if this does not feel supportive or is even causing like maybe some twinges in your top knee, you could release it. And we'll pause here for about 3 more breaths. Or you can come out of this shape at any time. Last breath. If your foot is on top of your knee, you could begin to release it, bringing it back to the edge of your mat, and then bringing both knees back up to center. If you need to adjust your tailbone or your lower back, you could even pull the knees back in toward the chest just for a moment, giving them a little wiggle. And then we'll plant both feet back down on the very right and left side edge of your mat, and then we'll allow the knees to fall over to the opposite side. You might choose to stay here, or if you'd like to take your bottom leg and take your foot and place it over your your top knee. For me, my top knee is my left knee right now. And I invite you to explore this shape for 3 more breaths. Is there anywhere that you could soften in this shape? Anywhere you could let go? As we take our last breath. If your foot is on top of your knee, you could start to release it and allow the knees to come back up. Moving in any way that feels supportive to you. And when you are ready to, you could begin to roll on over to one side, just pausing maybe in the fetal position. And in your own timing, you could begin to press yourself up, coming up into any seated shape. Really taking your time. There's no rush. If you'd like, you can meet me with one hand over the heart and one over the abdomen. And if you'd like to join me for a collective breath, we'll start by taking an exhale and breathing in through the nose and out. Taking one last moment to speak over yourself these tender words, this affirmation. I accept and love every part of myself exactly as I am. Thank you so much for joining me for class today. Thank you for trusting me and allowing me to guide you. I hope that you feel safe, connected, and at home in your body. Thank you.